Hi, I'm Ann Weiser Cornell. Welcome to Support for Stressful Times. That's what we do for half an hour, is give you support for stressful times. And unfortunately, the stressful times are continuing. Maybe that's what it is to be alive these days. Have I ever lived a time in my life without some stress? No, not really. Somehow nowadays there are huge issues going on that feel like they're especially stressful. And one nice thing about that, for me, is I feel a kind of commonality with everyone in the world, feeling like we're all facing something similar right now. And at the same time, we're all unique. So let me give you some of my tips and let's actually do them together. And the first one is pausing. And by even being on this webinar together, we're already pausing. We're already taking this time out of whatever you were doing otherwise. We're saying, okay, we deliberately are turning toward our feelings, and we're also connecting with each other. And the first thing that is required for doing that is to pause. So we're pausing, okay? That's number one. Number two, sensing. Pausing, sensing. Because you've paused, you're now more easily able to sense how you are right now. And believe me, although it might be challenging at first to feel how you are, because you might discover, as I did earlier this week, that how you are includes intense anxiety and distress. I'm okay today, but a few days ago we had dangerous air quality where I live because of out of control fires, because of climate change. And I had a whole day where I did this a lot all day long, and pausing and sensing how I am, and then putting a hand there in the place in my body where I feel that. If you're feeling something uncomfortable right now, as you pause and sense how you are, then let a gentle hand go there. See if you'd like to do that. Or you can acknowledge verbally, I am sensing, and then describe how you're feeling. I'm sensing something in me, feeling tense, anxious, overwhelmed, sad. So pausing, sensing, acknowledging. And what are you noticing when you do that? Remember that a few days ago, was it just a few days ago? Yeah, Monday was terrible, Tuesday was like this. I had such a sense of overwhelm and anxiety. Lower down than you can see, down in my stomach, solar plexus area. And I was at a meeting and I couldn't concentrate on what anyone was saying. So I paused. I went upstairs to my bedroom. It was a way of getting away from the places I usually sit. Sometimes changing your location works well. And I just acknowledged. So using the language that I recommend is, I am sensing something in me feels, and then fill in the blank for what the feeling word is. And sometimes when you pause and sense, what you feel is not easy to describe. And I wouldn't want you to stress more about not being able to describe how you feel, because it's also possible to simply acknowledge how you feel without a word. You can say this: I am sensing something in me feels this. You can use a gesture, or you can use a sound, feels That's a nice way to describe a feeling. Yeah, so what happens when you give that a try? Let's hear for you now. Susan writes, I'm sensing tightness and nauseous from sadness. Yeah. Marta writes, I'm sensing something in me that's very angry, and there's something in me that wants to cry. So that's an important addition to what we're saying here, is that you might be feeling more than one thing at the same time. And it's really important to know that you have enough space in you to have a lot of different feelings. That we don't have to pick one to be the winner. No matter how many things you're feeling, you can still acknowledge each one. And the word and really helps a lot there. So I'm sensing this, and I'm sensing that. And now the next step, so we have pausing, sensing, acknowledging. The next step is to say, and I am here with all of that. I'm here with this or that. I am here. And what you're doing when you say, I am here, is you're remembering that you are bigger than any particular feeling that you have. And I really think the experience of being overwhelmed, stressed, is an experience of losing that sense that I am actually at least one breath bigger than the feelings I'm having. How do we get to feel we're bigger? Well, I think this language can be a transportation device. The language itself can take us there. Yeah? So what happens when you try that? Catherine, you've got fires and dangerous air in New Mexico too. And you're acknowledging feeling so sad about that. Jane writes, I'm sensing something in me that feels jagged. A very vivid word. I'm sure that's, you're feeling it in your body to get such a specific word like that. Martha writes, I'm sensing something in me that's overwhelmed by distress. Illness, climate, hateful politics, shooting Black people, fury and sadness. So glad you're bringing that here, Martha. These are serious things that we're all facing, each of us and all of us. And we're not trying to cheer up or feel better, but it does help to be the one who can be with how you feel. It helps you be more clear. It helps what you feel take its next steps, whatever those are. They may be to connect with others. They may be to take some kind of action. They may be to reach out to someone you haven't reached out to lately. So I am sensing something in me feels fury, and I'm sensing something in me feels sadness, and I am here with that. Khan writes, I'm sensing how disappointed I feel. Yeah. And J. Thomas writes, for a change, I'm sensing a feeling of hope and happiness and relief that something bad has gone. All right. Oh, well, let's also say that when you pause and you sense, you might surprise yourself at feeling something lighter than you were expecting. And anytime we feel something somewhat lighter, somewhat more open, more free, we can have that. I wouldn't even call that something in me is lighter. I would say, I'm feeling lighter. So pause and notice also with me right now, what in this moment feels not so bad. Maybe it's being here with us on this call. Maybe it's something that went better than you expected it would. Maybe it's simply being able to rest, feel your body supported. Maybe there's a feeling of comfort from letting a hand go to your body or feeling the support of what you're sitting on. And maybe That is not the only way you feel, but it surprises you. Like, oh, yes, I do feel that. Mariana writes, I'm sensing something in me is distracted and something is angry with the distraction. Yeah, good. You've got an and in there, and then you add, and I am here with both. Because our feelings do react to each other, but we don't have to be part of that reaction to each other. Anyway, I'm talking about pausing to also sense what feels good. How have you been resourcing yourself? What have you been doing that gives you a bit of pleasure, comfort, relief? I think it's really important to say that I'm not advocating that we sense what gives us pleasure, comfort, and relief in order to be able to ignore the difficult feelings. I'm not suggesting you ignore them. Difficult feelings that are stressful feelings, feelings like sadness and anger that are related to things going on in the world, those are so important to keep and include because they may lead to positive action. So enjoyable feelings aren't meant to push away the stressful feelings. That's not how I would want to use them anyway. I would want to pause and resource myself, sense the ways in which I feel pretty safe and pretty lucky right now, and let that help me be with my more stressful feelings. When I resource myself by feeling what gives me pleasure, comfort, refreshment. So, one of the things about the fires this last week, we were supposed to stay indoors. And I have to admit, my partner and I disobeyed. We put on our KN95 masks and we went out for our walk because there was something about the refreshment of taking a walk that was so important. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. Oh, Andrea, you have loud noise right under your apartment floor. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Let's say no wonder to the places in you that are painful about that. And by the way, saying no wonder to your feelings, especially your stressful feelings, is such a nice thing to do. Some of us come from histories in which our stressful feelings were dismissed, ignored, or even punished. Don't feel that way. You shouldn't feel that way. Your perceptions aren't correct. What a great gift it is to give to ourselves, to turn toward the feelings we're having and validate them. Like say to the part of you that's really sad, really angry, of course, no wonder. I hear you. Everyone is empathy deprived. We all could use more listening, and so could our feelings. So so pausing, sensing, acknowledging, and then I am here with this, and then I'm saying to my feelings, no wonder, I hear you. What happens when you do that? There you go. Haja is writing about the pleasure of the puppy sleeping near her. Ah, so good. Andrea, thank you for writing in the chat about agreeing about the importance of acknowledging painful feelings, and it helps so much. Acknowledging is like a miracle. It feels like nothing. Like, I already know that. Why do I turn toward it and say, yes, I hear you? But, actually, and even theoretically, it completes our feelings when they are heard. It completes them, not to make them disappear, but to allow them to take their next evolutionary step. So when you hear how you feel. When you say, turn toward your feelings and say, yeah, I get it. I really hear how you're feeling. Angry, sad, etc. I really hear how fill in the blank you're feeling. What happens, and maybe you notice this, is there's and also, when somebody listens, it creates a space where the next thing can come. Yes. John writes, it's like finding solidarity in myself. Right. That's right. We're on our own side. And some of us have an inner critic that is not on our side, evidently. It says things like, oh, you're making too big a thing of it. You know, do you ever have something like that going on? Don't make such a fuss. You're exaggerating. But you know what? That part of you, even that part of you is trying to be on your side. So don't just believe what it's telling you. Turn toward it and say, and might you be worried about something? Yes, I'm worried that other people won't take you seriously. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. So every part of you can be heard. The critical voices that say things like you're too sensitive need to transform slightly before we can hear them effectively. And the way to do that is to say, might you be worried about something? Let's see what else people are writing here. Yes, wonderful. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you're finding my voice soothing. That's lovely. Yeah. You know, our feelings all make sense. If there's a part of you that says they don't, it's that worried part of you. How you're feeling and how you're reacting is appropriate and it makes sense. I mean, sometimes we react to present events, bringing with us past events as well. I think that's what we sometimes mean when we talk about overreacting. I might be in a fight, argument, discussion with my partner, who's the main person I talk to in person these days, and something he says makes me want to fight him. And then I pause and I sense, okay, what's that? And then I realize there's something going on in me, like that place in me that can easily feel disrespected by another person. That's from my past. That's not really from this present moment. Pause and say hello to that. Now I'm back again in this present interaction, curious and calm. So yes. So, oh, Julia, nice to hear from you. This past week, I've had a few times when some of my feelings have been so intensely painful, it felt like I couldn't stand it. Oh, that sounds really hard. And after they've passed through, it feels like I can't access them to do this practice with them. Yeah, it sounds really hard. Best I can say is stay aware. It sounds like you were aware. And that has so much value, just to be aware. Yes, Catherine writes, it's helpful to remember that self-in-presence is the term that I've been using with Barbara McGavin to refer to the you that's bigger than your feelings and bigger than your activated parts. You are here. You are here with that. That's right. Oh, Haja writes, I spoke my truth this week in a positive way that left me feeling vulnerable. All right. So I'm saying to that part that it's okay to be seen. And you know what else, Haja? Say to that part that it's okay to be vulnerable. Eve is writing, what if the other person is deliberately pushing your buttons? Get rid of them. I'm sorry, that was a flippant response. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Eve is asking, if the other person really is trying to hurt you, what do you say to yourself then? Well, the first thing I would do is keep myself safe and draw a boundary. Notice if a present situation is not healthy for you, if it's toxic for you, and find a way to get out of it. And that's your first duty to yourself, is not to stay in a situation that's hurting you, one way or another, as much as you can. Whether that means saying to the person, no, it's not okay to talk to me like that, or whether it means turning around and leaving. It depends on the situation you're in. And then when you're safe, you can say to yourself, no wonder you got angry and you felt hurt, because that really happened. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, hello. Ah, thank you, Kate. Yeah, no wonder I hear you, and might you be worried about something? That's beautiful. Okay. Pausing, sensing, and acknowledging. And maybe if we're feeling in the mood that Julia was in earlier, of having feelings that were so intensely painful, we're not going to get to acknowledging. Maybe we're just in pausing and sensing. Sometimes even sensing isn't possible. Maybe what we notice is, right now I feel so numb, I feel like I'm pushing everything away, I have no idea how I feel, okay? But noticing that, pausing, sensing, acknowledging, saying, I am here. What we're doing when we do that is we're cultivating that sense of being able to be the big I, the self in presence. And that happens over time. You can cultivate and develop your ability to turn toward. So everything I'm suggesting gets even easier and better with practice. And in some kind of funny way, we can be grateful to stressful times because they give us so much practice. No, I'm not grateful that hard things are happening in the world, and many people are hurting. Not grateful about that. But I am grateful that I have a way to turn toward my overwhelmed feelings so that I can get calm and clear enough to do something in response to what's going on. Yeah. Very good. Oh, Catherine, you're saying you're getting an infusion of greater self-confidence to engage in this crazy time. Yeah. And I really want to emphasize that although I believe in helping people be calmer, the purpose of being calmer, in my view, is not to just relax and bliss out. The purpose of being calmer is to have a clear sense of what's really in front of us, and our own needs and values, so we can join with others and take action as appropriate. We will do more effectively once we are able to acknowledge our feelings. Some of those feelings may be telling us something real about what needs attention here. So for all kinds of reasons, we want to acknowledge how we're feeling. Wonderful, wonderful. And yes, this is about inner relationship. So we have the I like making this gesture that's sort of a circle around my head and body, the circle of I. I am here. I can sense how I am. I can acknowledge how I am. I can say to how I am, yes, I know you're there. And we're cultivating that ability. I won't say it always gets easier, because sometimes really hard things hit us, and then it's not easy. but we can notice that. Yes, wonderful. So nice. And here we are near the end, and I'm seeing messages of appreciation in the chat. Yes. Yes, Marianne. Oh, I'm so glad you appreciate what I'm saying. Yeah. Feeling calmer is not to bliss out. It's so we can take the next step of action that is ours. What grounded action, right? You don't have to ask yourself, why am I not doing what that other person is doing? You can ask yourself, what's in front of me to do? What am I called to do? And your body feeling will help you find it. So nice to be with you all today. Lovely. We'll meet next week. Take care, be safe, pause, sense, acknowledge. I'll see you later. Thank you so much. Bye.